trình truyền hình Bản tin Hoa Thìn Đốn. Thưa quý vị, hôm nay là ngày Chủ nhật, ngày 4 Tây tháng 11, 2007. Thanh Trúc kính chào quý vị. Chương trình truyền hình Bản tin Hoa Thìn Đốn, chúng tôi xin cống hiến quý vị những sự kiện sau đây. Thưa quý vị, nhân mùa bầu cử thì Nguyễn Quốc Hùng sẽ phỏng vấn ông Connoly. Ông Connoly là Chairman Board of Supervisors, tức là chủ tịch của Hội đồng Giám sát của thành phố Fairfax, tiểu bang Virginia. Ông Connoly là một khuôn mặt quen thuộc của cộng đồng người Mỹ gốc Việt ở tại Hoa Kỳ. Ông từng tham dự nhiều buổi lễ, những buổi lễ hội, những buổi sinh hoạt của người Việt Nam và thường lên tiếng nói về cái sự tham gia của cộng đồng người Mỹ gốc Việt vào trong cái dòng chính của xã hội Hoa Kỳ ở đây. Xin mời quý vị theo dõi buổi phỏng vấn ông Connoly do Nguyễn Quốc Hùng thực hiện sau đây.
Chairman Connoly, what are some of your accomplishments as chairman of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors since you've been in office for the last 4 years?
When I became chairman, I set out an agenda, a very aggressive agenda for the Board of Supervisors that included 6 main items, not to the exclusion of anything else. And they were gang prevention, preservation of affordable housing, maintaining educational excellence, a new 20-year environmental plan, a 4-year transportation plan, and the need for tax relief for our citizens. And we've made significant progress on all of those 6 agenda items and lots of sort of, if you will, subsets of each one of them.
Now, let's talk about transportation. How's that going? Since there's a lot of traffic out here.
As you know, transportation in Virginia is a state responsibility. Nonetheless, in this 4-year period, I will have put a transportation bond referendum on the ballot for the first time in 15 years in 2004, and we're putting a second one on the ballot this year. We will have pumped $600 million of local money, Fairfax money, into transportation, one of the largest infusions of new investment in decades. Maybe the largest ever for any single term of a Board of Supervisors. But in addition, I worked with the governor and I worked on both sides of the aisle in the General Assembly to try to bring home a workable plan for Northern Virginia. That plan that the governor signed into law after working with us on amendments will bring at least $300 million a year of new investment to Northern Virginia, against which we'll be able to bond, which will lead to an investment stream of about $1 billion and a half in new transportation infrastructure.
So does that mean that eventually we may have a metro rail to Dulles Airport and maybe even down to Centerville or some of the other parts?
Absolutely. That investment stream can help shore up our efforts on rail to Dulles and certainly allow us to have some fresh looks at trying to get rail down the median in the I-66 corridor to Gainesville.
Now, what about hot lanes? We hear that's supposed to be, something that's hot. Explain to us, what does that mean?
Well, hot lanes, especially on the Beltway, are a new choice for us. I mean, what the promise of hot lanes in the Beltway is that within the existing right-of-way, not having to take a lot of people's land, that the private sector could build 2 new lanes on either side of the Beltway, keep the current lanes there, but add capacity and then toll those. So, and the deal is that you would be guaranteed a certain speed limit on those tolled lanes on the Beltway in exchange for some kind of commuter hour rate that might be might vary during the day. And so, in other words, it creates a new choice for people. You don't have to use it. You can continue to use the regular lanes free. Or you can choose, because you have to be at an important appointment, during the course of the day, you can choose to then pay that toll and be there in time.
So it's pretty much a pay-as-you-go system.
But it's another choice. And I think that's what we have to do in transportation. We have to create choices. Hot lanes, telework, rail, transit, bus rapid transit. Create new choices for people so that the only choice isn't to get in your automobile and go somewhere.
Well, in terms of like telework, a lot of folks, especially Asian Americans who are entrepreneurs or starting small businesses, what are some of the things that the county is doing to help push that along a little bit?
Telework?
Telework, working at home, just small businesses starting, because we hear that Fairfax County is bringing in a lot of larger corporations to be headquartered in the county. Obviously, the county itself is reaching out to larger companies. But
Right.
what about the smaller mom and pop?
Well, It's interesting you should ask that, because although we are bringing larger corporations into Fairfax County, by far the greatest generator of new jobs are the small businesses, the mom and pop businesses. And a lot of those are startups, and they may be in the retail sector, they may be in the technology sector, a lot of them very entrepreneurial. So we want to make sure that there's a favorable tax climate for those businesses in which to grow and thrive. We also want to provide technical assistance where they may need it. We have started a small and minority business conference every year to help networking and to identify needs in the minority business community where maybe we can be helpful. We've also started a minority job fair every year in this time period where we're trying to, again, do networking, where we're marrying opportunities for minority population looking for employment. And of course, our Small Minority Business Commission exists to help provide some technical assistance to the small mom and pop operations in the county. So we've done a lot to try to foster that sector of the economy, because frankly, it's the most vibrant part of our economy.
And, you know, starting small businesses is one thing, but also the quality of life here is another issue. You know, sometimes people talk about increasing homes, which may or may not necessarily be the case in Fairfax County anymore with the recent home depreciation in some areas. But I understand that Fairfax County is doing some work in terms of affordable housing. Could you tell us about that?
One of the 6 goals I set was to preserve some of the affordable housing we were losing. We needed to sort of stop the hemorrhage. And so we set out a preservation of affordable housing goal of trying to preserve at least 1,000 units of housing that otherwise would have been lost in this 4-year time period. And as of last Monday, I'm pleased to say we actually have preserved 2,200 housing units. So that's in a sense new affordable housing that's now in our control or our nonprofit partner control. And that's really important, to try to have a stable base of housing units as we move forward, encouraging developers and others to build new units. But you got to make sure you've got a stable base upon which you're building, and that's what we've been trying to do this 4-year period, and it's been very successful.
And with housing units, you know, being, I guess, for lack of a better word, being affordable to some folks, but some of those folks, like especially the after-school kids, like 3 to 6 p.m. because of traffic, parents can't get home in time. They join gangs and they get into trouble.
That's right.
So what is the county doing?
Again, one of my 6 goals had to do with gang prevention and intervention. What I discovered when I became chairman was, in Fairfax County, we were doing a really good job at law enforcement and suppression, but we weren't really doing as much in intervention and prevention. And isn't it worth a lot more if we can invest in kids up front and prevent them from ever joining a gang at the end of the day? The costs we save in terms of probation costs, court costs, jail time, social worker time, to say nothing of the cost associated with the crime and the victims. If we can avoid all of that by helping channel kids into productive activity, why wouldn't we do that? And so what I found was that only 3 of our middle schools had after-school middle school programming. So today, all 26 have it. We've started some boys and girls clubs specifically targeted at-risk kids. We've expanded summer camp opportunities to our Park Foundation and our park programming again for at-risk youth, expanding that to 1,000 kids every summer. We've expanded mentoring opportunities. We've expanded, we went from 0 to 12, the number of synthetic turf fields, which expands the ability for kids to participate in sports and to have more playing time. We've expanded the tattoo removal program. And so what have we got to show for that? We've cut in half the gang participation rate in our high schools and middle schools, in half. And we cut gang-related crime by 32%. So it's really working. We got to sustain those investments, but it's very important. And I'm very gratified at the results in 4 relatively brief years.